Was about a year after the OCC first began trumpeting the virtues of preptiums, the odds joined in, noticing that the threats it oversaw were exempt from the key provisions of Georgian law. The odds moved helped make the state law moot. Either way, we will have an unlevel playing field and a rush of people to get us charges, or we will see a living out of the playing field by having the state legislature change the law, said a spokesman for the mortgage lobby. Sure enough, by the spring of 2003, the law had been replaced by a much weaker one. The odds had long asserted preemptions when states passed laws that it didn't think its treats should have to follow. But inherently, the OCC went all in, declaring that all instructions under its watch would be exempt from all state and local laws aimed at predatory lending. After which Novia moved its mortgage company into its federal chartered bank in order to take advantage of the OCC's preemptions policy. The state of Michigan argued that it should still be able to regulate Wachuba's local lending until Wachovia sued. The OCC filed a superintendent brief. The fight went out the way to the Supreme Court, which instead, and so it went. New Jersey, which passed a predatory lending law in the fall, repealed it a year later after the lending company, along with the rating agencies, followed the Georgia playbook. In New York, the OCC asserted preemption when the Attorney General Elliot Spitzer simply tried to get that from national banks in order to see if they were complying with fair lending laws. I think the reality is that the refusal to permit or inquiry and the assistance of the OCC in helping the banks stop it was symptomatic of a world there nobody wanted to look at anything. A Blitzer later cites John Dugan, who replaced Hautkey in as comptroller of the currency, would later urge that national banks were only a small part of the problem. He wasn't completely wrong. By the OCC calculation, national banks originated percent of non-prime loans between 2005 and 2007, but his argument misses the larger point. Prentium created competition between the OCC and the OTS, and the OTS, which regulated institutions like INDIMAC and WAMU, was indisputably a weaker regulator. Secondly, Prentium meant that even the state chartered lenders didn't have to curb their abuse because the states were regulated to pass enforce strict rules for these institutions that federally regulated institutions were allowed to do, says Kevin Stein, the associate director of the California Reinvestment Coalition's bank site. We don't have to comply. The OCC said they don't have to comply. The state legislature said if we can't pass a law that regulates federally charging banks operating in our state, then we're not going to regulate state chartered lenders because then they can compete. It was a legislative and regulatory race to the bottom. Finally, Supreme laws continued to make their way unchecked into the national banking system thanks to securitization. It really didn't matter who originated them. The state had no way of cutting off that all important funding was sourced, and the national regulators with their energy focused on making sure that their institutions were free from pesky state laws. It leads to be what none of the regulators could see was the most obvious fact of all. If cities and states all over the country felt the need to enact their own laws, 25 states, 11 localities, and the District of Columbia had by 2004.